What up, what up? Starting us off today, we have David playing his Commodore Guff Jeskai Super Friends deck. He's trying to use his Planeswalkers to control the board and grind the table out with the value his Planeswalkers give him. Will is going to be playing his Urza Chief Artificer deck, or Dadbot Urza. He's trying to make a bunch of big chunky artifacts with Manache and swing out for the win. I'm going to be playing my Be'lakor the Dark Master deck. This is a Gyruda companion deck, so I'm trying to make a bunch of clones of Gyruda to deal 6 damage to the table over and over again with my commander's ability. Lastly, we have Jeff playing his Grothama the All Devouring deck. This is a mono green stompy deck. He's trying to win with trample, dealing damage to the table, and using his commander to draw a bunch of cards while doing so. And without further ado, let's go ahead and take it to the table. David starts us off by playing a Plains and passing to Will. Will plays a Spire of Industry. He'll tap that for a turn 1 Soul Ring and pass to me. I play a Tap Water Grave as my land drop for turn and pass. Jeff plays a Forest and passes. David just plays an Island and says go. Will plays a Dimir Signet. Then he'll cast Baleful Strix. He draws his card for the ETB. Then he plays Dimir Aqueduct, picking up the Spire of Industry before passing it to me. I play a Shivan Reef. Then I'll cast Felwar Stone and pass it to Jeff. Jeff plays a Forest. And from there he casts Emerald Medallion and passes. David plays a Plains. Then he taps out to cast Ichor Moon Gauntlet for some non-proliferate. Will replays his Spire of Industry. Then he casts Steel Overseer, which lets him put counters on his artifact creatures. From there, he'll cast his commander, Urza Chief Artificer, for 4 mana thanks to Affinity for artifact creatures. Moving to his end step, he'll get his 5/5 construct and pass the turn to me. I'll play a Mana Crypt, then I'll play Training Center. From there, I cast my commander, Be'lakor the Dark Master. Because I have 1 demon on ETB, I'll lose 1 life and draw 1 card. I'll pass the turn after that. Jeff plays a discounted Rampant Growth, getting a Forest. Then he'll Green Sun Zenith for 1. Searching for a Fenhorn Elves, putting it into play and passing the turn to David. David plays a Command Tower. Then he casts his commander, Commodore Guff. It enters with 5 loyalty, lets him add a loyalty to other planeswalkers at his end step. His +1 creates wizard tokens that tap for mana, but only to cast planeswalkers, and his -3 draws cards and deals damage based on how many planeswalkers he controls. He uses Guff's +1 ability to make a wizard and pass the turn over to Will. Will plays an Island. Then he taps Steel Overseer to give his artifact creatures a +1/+1 counter. Moving to combat, he sends the Baleful Strix at Commander Guff and the Construct at me with no blocks. From there, he'll cast Wayfarer's Bauble and move to his end step, getting the Construct from his commander. I'll win my Mana Crypt roll and move to combat. I'll send 6 unblocks damage at will. I'll play an island and pass to Jeff, completely forgetting that I can't pay for my companion at instant speed. Jeff plays a forest. Then he casts Oracle of Mordiah. It lets him play that forest that's on the top of his library. After that, he casts Rampant Rejuvenator, which enters with 2 +1/+1 counters and lets him go get lands equal to its power when it dies. David plays a Temple of Enlightenment, scrying 1 to the top. Then he casts Staff of Completion, triggering Ickermoon, putting a counter on his commander. He taps the staff for 4 life and draw a card. Then he uses his commander's +1 ability to make a wizard. He moves to end step. On his end step, Will casts Research Thief, which lets him draw cards when his artifact creatures deal combat damage. He plays a Vault of the Archangel as his land. Then he taps Steel Overseer to put +1/+1 counters on all of his stuff. Moving to combat, he sends 10 damage at me, 9 damage at Jeff, and 3 damage at Commander Guff. With no blocks, we take the damage and he draws 3 cards. He cracks his Wayfarer's Bauble to get a Plains. Moving to end step, his commander triggers and he gets another construct. Starting my turn, I win my Mana Crypt roll, then I pay 3 for my companion. I play an Ancient Tomb, then I tap out for Garuda, Doom of Depths. Triggering my commander, and Will responds with Galadriel's Dismissal, phasing out Garuda. With Garuda's trigger, we all put the top 4 cards into our graveyards. I choose to animate Sakashima and it enters as a copy of my commander. I deal 6 damage to Steel Overseer and 6 damage to Research Thief. Then I draw 2 cards and lose 2 life, plus an additional 2 life from Ancient Tomb before passing the turn. Jeff plays Goreclaw, Terror of Kalsisma, making his big creatures cost 2 less and gives them +1/+1 and trample when it attacks. From there, he casts his commander, Grothama, All Devouring, before passing the turn over to David. David plays a Prairie Stream, then he taps his wizards for mana. And he uses that to cast Will Kenrith, triggering Ickermoon and putting a counter on his commander. He taps the staff for mana. Then he casts Jeska's Will, getting 7 mana and exiling 3 from the top. He casts Rings of Bright Hearth, triggering Ickermoon and putting a counter on his commander. He uses his commander's -3 ability to deal 2 damage to the table and draw 2 cards. Then he'll cast Talisman of Creativity, triggering Ickermoon again and putting a counter on his commander. From there, he activates Will Kenrith's +2 ability and uses Rings of Brighthearth to double it. Until his next turn, 4 target creatures each have base power and toughness, 0/3, and lose all other abilities. He targets Will's Baleful Strix, 2 of his construct tokens, and my commander, Bellicor. Will starts his turn by casting Masterful Replication, making all of his artifacts into construct creatures that get +1/+1 for each artifact he controls. Moving to combat, he sends 4 constructs at me and 2 at Will Kenrith. I block one of them and am taken out of the game. Will Kenrith is steamrolled and dies. Moving to his end step, Will's commander triggers, giving him another construct. Jeff plays a forest, then he casts Moss Bridge Troll. It can't be destroyed and can get +20/+20 for tapping 10 power worth of creatures. He'll cast Llanowar Elves from there. Moving to combat, he sends the Rampant Rejuvenator at David, choosing to have it fight Grothama. When it dies, because Grothama, Jeff gets to put 2 lands into play. David plays an Archangel Elspeth, putting a counter on his commander. Then he casts Arena Rector. Using Staff of Completion to destroy it, he'll exile it to tutor up an Elspeth Sun's champion and puts it onto the battlefield. He uses her -3 ability to destroy all creatures with power 4 or greater. Then he uses his commander's -3 ability to draw himself 3 cards and deal 3 damage to the table. He uses Elspeth's ability to create a soldier before passing the turn. Will plays a land tax, which lets him search for 3 basic lands if his opponents have more lands than him on his upkeep. After that, he plays an island, then casts Platoon Dispenser. Moving to combat, he sends Baleful Strix at Elspeth, outright killing her. Then he'll pass a turn. Jeff plays a forest, and he'll play Demolition Field as his second land for turn. After that, he casts Stonehoof Chieftain. It has Trample and Indestructible, plus it gives his attacking creatures the same. Moving to combat, he sends Moss Bridge Troll at Will, tapping 10 power worth of creatures to give it +20/+20. Will takes the damage and Jeff passes the turn. David plays a Port Town. From there, he casts Ronos Masked Inquisitor. It enters with 5 counters, and when he casts it, Ikamoon triggers, putting a counter on Commander Guff. David uses Ronos' -2 ability, so for each opponent, he can return a non-land permanent to their hand. He pays 2 into Rings of Brighthearth to double it, targeting Will's Platoon Dispenser and his land tags, as well as Jeff's Moss Bridge Troll and Stonehoof Chieftain. Jeff casts Tamiyo's Safekeeping to protect his Moss Bridge Troll. From there, David casts Tezzeret's Gambit, drawing 2 and proliferating all of his Planeswalkers. From there, he casts Gideon of the Trials, giving his commander another counter. He'll -3 Guff to deal 4 damage to the table and draw 4 cards, taking Will out of the game. After that, he uses Gideon's +1 to prevent all damage coming from Oracle of Modiah. Then he'll activate Elspeth to make another soldier before passing the turn. Jeff starts his turn by playing a Reliquary Tower. Then he'll play Myriad Landscape as his second land drop this turn. He'll recast Stonehoof Chieftain. And from there, he'll recast his commander, Grothama. After that, he'll activate Moss Bridge Troll twice, giving it +40/+40. With Trample, David is forced to take all that damage, and Jeff wins the game this week. Hopefully you enjoyed the gameplay. If you want to see what the Be'lakor deck was supposed to do, check out the deck tech video here. Until next time, I'll see you at the table.